It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country. We're on a mission, as you can see, and our mission is to inspire. She's already inspiring you. Our mission is to empower, and our mission is really to provide you, the hard working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this particular episode, we have the only one and only Natalie Fikes, who's in the building, and she was talking about navigating entrepreneurship. But she said, guided by faith. We'll find out what's going on. What's going on, Natalie? How are you?
I am super fantastic with a cherry on top, sir. Thank you for
Oh, I
having
didn't get
me.
the cherry last time. I didn't get the cherry on top. Now the audience gets it with the cherry on top and a little whipped cream as well. No, I'm joking. I couldn't resist that. Now I'm curious. I know we were talking about navigating entrepreneurship, but by faith. But here's the question I have, because you work with entrepreneurs. Why are entrepreneurs today? What's some of the challenges I'll say they have just being a profitable, successful entrepreneur? Forget guided by faith. We're gonna get to that. But why do entrepreneurs struggle in today's time when they have all the tools and resources they need, yet, according to the Small Business Association, they're still unprofitable? Many of them, not all, but many of them.
Well, again, thank you for having me. And you said, before we get to guided by faith, and I'm like, let me just lay the foundation here. We're not talking spiritual woo-woo and what people have made it, right? We're talking about having a clear vision and the skills to support that vision before you make it a big thing where you're going all in and doing all of these things. So the foundation has to be set with a clear vision. I have worked with countless entrepreneurs where their vision just is not clear because we're starting with I don't want to work for someone else anymore. That's really where it started, right? Is I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. That's not entrepreneurship guided by faith, guided by a vision that you are going to bring forth. That's I'm gonna make some money, and those are the ones who jump back into a profession when it's like, boo, if you just needed a break, just say you needed a break. We ain't had to break up, it's that. We're talking about we have relationship issues and we have a bad relationship with our vision, with our faith, and so we throw it around like it's something that can just be thrown around when it's the foundation for everything. You need to have a clear vision. Where are you going so that people know that they need you to get there?
When you say vision means different things to different people. And I think you were heading that direction. Take a moment, and we'll slow down and speed up, but take a moment and talk about what is vision. I mean, somebody might say, well, when you said I want to leave my job, that was my vision, but it means so many things, these things. So can we get, your view of the world on vision and what is it? And if the person says, I don't have it, ladies and gentlemen, she don't have it all day, but if you say, hey, what's one or two things I can do to at least create a vision? Because they might be kind of confused. I'll say that.
Absolutely. I am a trainer, teacher by nature, and I'm gonna give you the tools, right? And so we're gonna make it very simple. I call it the greater purpose system, but it's GPS, right? Everybody understands what a GPS is. And the first thing we have to do is we have to have motivation. It's like sitting down and saying, "Man, I want some chicken," right? You have a
I'm
motivation.
hungry.
I'm hungry. You might not even know you want chicken, but you know you're hungry, right? And there's nothing in the house. So but you do need a motivation. And then you need a destination. And so between motivation and destination, you do have to be clear about, well, where am I going to go to fix this hunger situation that I'm in? Right? So you need a destination. And think about if you try to get an Uber. You can't even locate a driver until you know where you're going, right? They need to know, you know, that
Yeah.
who's in the area, right? You need to know who's in the area. So once you have that destination, you need transportation. How are you going to get there? That's when you start seeing what the different options are. Are you Uber X? Are you Uber? Are you going to Uber Eats? What is it, right? And then once you have the transportation, then they need to know your location, right? In order to come and get you, right? And sometimes the
Yes.
location is before the transportation. I like to do it out of order because it's easier for people to move towards the transportation, because the location is hard. Like, where are you now? Where are you financially? Is now the time for you to be going out to eat? Is now the time for you to start your business? You have a new marriage, you have a new child, you just moved to a new area, you just got out of something bad. Is this the time? Right? What is your location so that your transportation can pick you up to get you to your destination so you can fulfill your motivation? And you also need to know
I like
the
that.
duration, right? Because it's going to take time. It's going to take time. So if you're starving, you might need to go in the fridge and get you an egg sandwich or something. This might not be the time. You might have to get a job. You know what I mean? How much is it going to cost? You know what I'm saying? And so you going through this process is how you get there. And every time along the way, you have to be like, okay, if you were in an Uber and it wasn't taking you in the right direction, you gonna sit there and end up in Czechoslovakia somewhere, tied up. No, you're going to be like, wait a minute, something is off, something is wrong. Let me see, because I should be there by now or whatever, right? But those are just some quick nuggets.
No, they were spot on. They were direct and to the point. And there's some folks that saying, Shay, you got started. I didn't get a chance to read her bio, Shay. I didn't get a chance to see who this person is, but she's making sense. I like what I'm hearing. Can you slow down for a moment and give her an opportunity to say, what's her backstory? Like, who is Natalie? What's her backstory? And more importantly, what was that defining moment that led her on this path of helping entrepreneurs like us be successful, but guided by faith? So, you know, the question, what's the backstory? What was that a moment you said, this is what I'm born to do?
The backstory is I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think that's why I am so successful at it, is because I never wanted to be. So I was a manager at Verizon. I was 23 years old, sitting around. Great. I was a top salesperson. I could sell a bald headed man a comb. Need a comb, Jay? I'll show you how. And I was miserable. I was young, and I just raised my hand and said, you know, what, this training thing that I had fallen in love with, because it was the first time in my life that anybody had like taught me something that made sense, that I was able to execute afterwards. I was like, wow, you can do that. And so I'm killing it in sales. You ever be you're so good at something that it gets boring? So I'm sitting around and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to make people feel the way I felt when I learned. And so I became a trainer, and all of my students were top sellers. I didn't follow the training manual because that's not how I became successful. I just gave them everything that worked for me, and they killed it. And so I was promoted, became a team leader, and then they gave me all of the misfits, all of the underperformers. And in a very short amount of time, I took them to the top of the sales district, right? And so, Yeah, I in that moment I was like, wow, because here's the thing is that there's one thing to be taught or trained to do something, but we're all born with gifts. And sometimes we get so caught up in what people are willing to offer us that we don't take the time to respond to that voice inside of us that's saying, okay, you've been doing this enough now. Don't sit in the misery of it. Go now to the next level. And it took faith to do that. I asked them, well, how do you apply for that job? I was miserable. How that person get this and did it? And they said, you apply. Changed my life, Shay. And so longest story short, I literally have been born to help people get clear about what it is you're supposed to be doing so that you can do it and do it well. That's what I do in any shape, form, or facet. You can take what you know how to do and pour it into anything else. My turning point was winning a speak off competition. There just happened to be a speaker agent in the audience, and I was invited less than 24 hours before the time, and I won first place, and the rest is history. I've been speaking professionally for 6 years, and I've never, ever had to go looking for a speaking engagement. The first time I had a coaching client was because I was talking to someone after I was speaking, and I just started pouring into them, and she wrote me a check for $350 after 45 minutes. I was like, oh, people do that? I've never just been out to do it. That's the entrepreneurial journey, right? But then I was like, hold on, you need to know some stuff. And that's when everything changed for me because I went and I did the work.
You did the work, and one of the things I love in doing the work is you created the whole breakthrough part, the breakthrough to millions. There are folks that are watching right now, and a number of them are dualpreneurs, right? They work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. And I might be wondering, how does she juggle all these priorities, Shay? Because I have responsibilities. I have a husband, or I have a wife, or I have kids, or I have a significant other. Some of them are caregivers. Some of the folks that are watching right now are involved in their community. Like, wow, I've got a lot going on. What would you say to someone like myself that, yes, I don't want to dibble dabble, and I want to have the vision, but I feel like I'm taking care of everyone else? How do you prioritize everything? And this is Shay Brown simplifying it, but how do you prioritize everything where you don't feel like you're cheating the folks that you feel like you need to be supporting? Because sometimes we get that question. They're like, oh, wow, I'm doing stuff for everybody else, but I don't do anything for myself. So how do you handle that from a mental perspective? And then what's maybe one or two things you'd recommend to someone that's watching right now?
Well, I'm speaking from the space that I'm at now, right? Um, and along the journey, it's like you're. I'm not gonna say I'm okay. Everything is great. This is entrepreneurship, right? And so for a dualpreneur, I can see how heavy that can be because you have to jump out of being under someone else's vision into creating your own and making that manifest. What I would say is that it's a smart approach financially because the job is your client. It's paying for you to live your dream. This thing about having a job, no, it's your first client. It pays you to be able to have it properly in place. So, what I would say, how do you prioritize? Is that you need to know your number. And I see so many people overworking, people who you don't need to be doing that much and that much right now. Are you meeting your number? There's a specific number that you need in order to live. Now is not the time to be cute and involved in everything. We are building here. That's ugly. And so, and you never stop building, but you get until you get to a place where that seed has taken root and it's starting to come up out of the ground, You're building. And so, what is your number? Which means, how much does it take for you to live based on your basic needs? And then you have to adjust to what I call the gap method, what is good, acceptable, and preference, and adjust your life within that. So you want sushi? Cool. Is it sushi from Publix because you got $5? Or is it going to be sushi from Miss Kim's because she's $10 and you have that? Or is it going to be sushi from Creme de la Creme, which is $35? I'm speaking in 2000, clearly. But you adjust. You can still get the sushi, but let's make it make sense. And that's it. It's really that juggling. And then you do the same thing with time. I love you, Shay, but I got 25 minutes. I love you, son, but I got 15 minutes, right? I know you want an hour, but I got 5 on it. You know, that's really what it is. And the main thing is that you got to be working with who's working with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need. We need community, and we need people that you can go to and be like, it's not a transaction. I need somebody to handle this. You could take 5 minutes doing this, and it would take me an arm and a leg to do it. Do you have 5 minutes to do that? The 5 minutes we would have been on the phone talking about what's going on in social media or in the world. You see what I mean?
I see exactly what you mean. As you were saying that, I think it's a perfect segue. That was spot on, by the way. I love you being so authentic, by the way, and mixing the humor in. It's a great segue to a segment we have here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that are watching, I know you wait till every night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. And I feel good. Happy New Year to you, by the way. For all the other folks that are wondering what in the LL Cool J is Shay talking about over there, well, today is my January 1st. Represents our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Natalie on the other side is 2 parts. Number 1, when you hear those words, today is my January the 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And number 2, was there a time in your life where there was a setback, there was a challenge, and how did you bounce back from it?
Well, today is my January 1st because there's no time like the present. All I have is right now, and I am going to make the absolute best of it. So today and every day is my January 1st because I get to start over wiser and with more love and compassion in my heart and tenacity to keep on going. And that really has been the story of my life. I cannot think of a time that I was not going through something. And so people always say, you act like you ain't never going through something. I'm always going through something, but it's called through. I'm not about to sit in anything that does not make me feel good longer than 3 days. And my philosophy on that is, if that Jesus could take the butt whooping of a lifetime, die and resurrect in 3 days, I'm pretty sure I can get over. That's how I keep myself sane. I'm like, this dude got beat down. And so I'm not about to trip off of yesterday's money, that relationship, or whatever. What I am gonna do is sit and reflect on how that did not work and how I will not be doing that again, because I don't like the way that that feels, and or it did not get me to the destination that I had in mind.
Spot on. And as you were talking there, oftentimes I get to ask the question, and we have a little time, which is, what is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Now, I know you're in the John Maxwell group. I've done a number of things in leading his sales and so forth, and I got that from him. And when I heard him first say that, I was like, wow, And what I'd like to know from folks, what's the best piece of advice they've ever been given and why? And I know you've had so many mentors along this journey. I'm not asking you to come down off the mountain with the 10 Commandments or anything, but if you had to pick one of all the books you've read, all the videos you watch, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given that you would share with the audience out there today?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given was from my children. And that is, everything is not a movement. Everything is not a movement. Everything is not a bigger, biggest. It's like you are just fine just the way you are. It doesn't have to be, oh, I got this great thought, write a book. Oh, do this. Da, da, da. It's everything is not a movement. Change my life.
I like that. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? Sound like you're having a lot of fun. You're enjoying life. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
Oh man. Um, I for the past 3.5 years have been on lifecation with my two sons. And they literally grew up on the road. And it was the extreme act of faith through COVID and everything else. We've been international. It's been amazing. Amazing. And as a latchkey kid growing up in New York City in the 80s and just being a girl from nowhere, to be able to raise my children with such intentionality and to see the character and the maturity in these young men, it has been the greatest experience of my life. I am a lifelong mentor, and I have, a group where just seeing the fruits come alive in their lives, to see them doing the same thing for their children and their lives being enriched, I can't put a price on that. And as a result, now I'm putting the finishing touches on my book, which is called Just Live a Life Guided by Faith. And I finally feel like I've put all of the pieces of me, the the business and the spiritual and the funny and the theater and all of these things, that it's like it was so many scattered pieces, is that I am just writing it because I've lived it. It's an amazing space to be in, because I have released myself from the outcome, knowing that whoever it was created for, they've been waiting for me, and it's going to make a difference.
It's showtime now, by the way. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. What type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I speak a lot personally, because honestly, you want to do business with people and real people.
Mm.
That is my value proposition. And so everything else you can read, you can see, and all of that stuff. But I run a firm called Breakthrough to Millions, and we are innovating leadership. And so basically, we do interactive sessions. So it's not just Bueller, because everybody's smart and everybody know everything these days. But for somehow our world isn't really progressing. And so how about we want to talk about diversity? Well, how about we get up and we follow this script and see how to actually work through it and gain understanding and have structured conversations that unifies us. um, Communication, really big on communication and things of that nature. Leadership is my heart and my soul. It is important how you lead and guide people. And so I'm looking to work with people who actually care about people. And most importantly, well, the people are important, but let's get these objectives met. Okay? You got an objective, we're going to meet it. So, how you connect with me, nataliefikes.com. And my book is there as well. I have a new group that is the Just Faith Club. And so, and again, it's not about religion. Every time people hear faith, I could hear right now, oh, another one of those. It's all of my systems, everything that I shared, it's all in there, but you must have faith to apply it. And so all of that information is on my website, nataliefikes.com.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. We know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thank you so much.
You're worth it.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So thank you for tuning in. Yeah, it's kind of cool when you hit the like button, but more importantly, hit that share button. Pay this message forward to someone else that can forever change their life and their community. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you are really a super incredible, awesome person. You're someone that's a game changer. You're someone making a difference in the world, and that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. Still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Peace. Thanks so much, Natalie. We out here, y'all. Bye-bye.